Hi, welcome to live stream yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are kicking ass and taking names while making games. Own each moment on the mat today. As always, play when you're comfortable, modify when you need to, rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's class standing comfortably at the top end of the mat with enough room to step back into a lunge line. Stand up nice and tall and give yourself a modified mountain. Feet stacking comfortably underneath your hips. Start to root through all four quadrants of the feet. Squeeze the energy between the inner thighs together and find a small little 12 o'clock tilt through the pelvis. Feel that beautiful lengthening through the lower back and that soft draw up along your belly. Drop your arms heavy at your side and relax your shoulders away from your ears. Look for the tallest mountain that you can find. Tadasana. Then take a big breath in. Use the L frame between your index finger and thumb to hook around your lower back and bring yourself into a supported back bend, looking for more stretch into the chest and the lower belly. Then inhale to stand up nice and tall in your mountain again. Exhale as you find your way into your supported back bend. Bumping your hips forward a little bit more over your knees this time. Let's do that one more time. Big breath in, stand up nice and tall, drop the arms heavy at your side and lengthen through the entire line of your body. Find your way into your supported back bend. Draw the two shoulder blades closer together. Open up generously through your chest. Then fold forward into a tabletop line, keeping your arms long and dangly towards the floor. Exhale to fold forward, tapping fingers to floor. Inhale for your halfway lift. Exhale to reach for the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach for the floor and begin to bend and extend dynamically through the legs. If your fingertips don't reach the floor, you could do hands to block or hands to shins. Then hold the forward fold with both legs as extended as you can comfortably manage. Start to rock the weight back and forth between the front and the back of your feet. Begin to play with the weight bearing side to side. Then come to stillness somewhere between those 4 points. Bend the legs and step back into a 4-point kneeling frame on the mat, coming straight into a working cat-cow. Inhale as you take your chin and your bum bones to the sky, giving me a hollow back. Then exhale to round out. Start to find a working one-to-one inhalation to exhalation cat-cow. Mobilizing through the spine. Starting to work into the rib cage. Let's add in a working leg line to this cat-cow. Find a neutral line somewhere between your cat and your cow and hover your left knee just off the floor. On an inhale, sweep the leg back and arch into your cow. On an exhale, draw the knee in towards the nose as you find your cat. Now begin to oscillate dynamically in your cat and your cow, playing with that left leg, sweeping it up behind you in a throwback motion, and then tucking the knee in towards your nose. Then come into a tabletop line. Extend the left leg out as far as it will go and float it up into a tabletop line. Trying to keep squared through the hips, we're coming into a working oil rigger. Bend your elbows, maybe halfway, and then peel back up to your start position. You're going to do that 4 more times, coming as low to the floor as your arm strength will allow for. End low to the floor. Keep that left leg hovering and find your way into a baby cobra line with your bottom ribs still touching the mat and that left leg still hovering off the floor. See if you can keep the leg lift and find your way into an up dog from here, tucking your toes under. Press into your palms and the backs of your toes to lift your frame off the mat, thinking of a slight cow-like frame through your body. Then ease your way from here into a down dog and start to take your dog for a walk. Bending one knee, extending the other leg and keeping your knees tracking forward while warming up the back chain of your legs. Then see if you can stall your dog, stretching into the arms and the legs and making your heels as heavy as you can to the floor. Maybe giving a 6 o'clock tilt through the pelvis so that you can get more grounding through your feet. Then soften the knees, step or hop up, coming into a ragdoll side to side sway. Come to stillness along the midline and then ragdoll style peel yourself up to restack and realign. Let's find our way into a working chair. Take a big breath in. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart. And on an exhale, sit back into chair Utkatasana. Thinking of pushing the weight back into your bum and your heels. And trying to bring the thighs nice and parallel to the floor. Then inhale, stand up nice and tall. Heel toe the feet in this time and see if you can come back into chair, this time from a narrow stance. Big breath in as you find your way to prayer. Exhale to find your seat. So the knees and the feet are pressing together along the midline. Find your way into a nice narrow mountain. And let's try the next chair with a little eagle bind through the legs. Start to soften your knees as if you were just beginning to sit into your chair. And cross the left knee over the right, keeping the big toe connected to the floor. Or maybe you can hook your foot behind the calf and just take a little seat here. Hands are still in prayer. And you're just starting to find your way into Eagle Garudasana. Then unbind your legs, give them a little shake out, and open up your arms into a cactus frame. Take a big breath in, and float the left elbow out in front of you. Interlace the right arm into the left, and find a little eagle bind through the arms, trying to keep your elbows nice and tall. Keep that eagle bind through the arms and see if you can replicate the eagle bind through the legs. Soften the knees. Cross the left leg over the right, tucking behind the calf if you can, and try to take a seat. Feel a nice little stretch into the shoulder area. Feel a beautiful stretch happening through the chain of the legs. Look through your bound arms to the wall in front of you. Then keeping your eagle hands, take a big lunge step back with your left leg and wiggle walk the left heel away from the center line, dropping down as low as you can through the pelvis. Maybe playing with a little up-down tap through your eagle arms and feel the work through the arms and the shoulders. Come to stillness. Relax your back knee to the floor. Keep the toes tucked under and open up into a cactus frame as you find your way into Anyanya Asana, crescent lunge. Shoulder blades coming together behind your back, chest opening up generously. Think of that slight curve through the spine that you had in the cow frame. Then relax your hands to the floor and let's try to find our way into a soft eagle plank line. Bring your left knee off the floor, but keep a soft bend to the leg. Then take the right leg, see if you can wrap it around the left and find your way into an eagle bind. Staying here in your eagle plank or giving me a playful side to side plank and seeing if you can keep that little twist through the legs. Find your way back to the middle and ease your way into a pigeon line from here. Taking the right leg, draping it to the floor, making sure the knee is in line with your hip or slightly wider. Relax the back knee, shin and foot to the floor and find your way into a high pigeon seat. Trying to bear down equally on both sides of the pelvis. Stay here. See if you can maybe float the hands behind you and come into a little fisted high pigeon. Dropping your fisted hands down between your bum cheeks, opening up generously through the chest and working into the shoulder area. Then keeping that high pigeon line, uninterlace the hands, place them on the floor, and let's try a bind to each side. Maybe reaching back with the left hand for the left foot. You can either wrap around the foot or you can bring it closer towards your elbow line. Reach the right arm out in front of you. Maybe coming into Shuni Mudra, taking your thumb and your ring finger and just allowing the other fingers to reach long and tall, symbolizing patience, patience with yourself, patience with your body as you look to find your balance. Then drape that leg long and lengthened on the mat and find your way back again into that fisted pigeon. Own your movements on the mat today. Fashioning little working games, but always staying in control. Then let's try that pigeon bind to the second side. So you're going to do opposite hand to leg. Seeing if you can find your way to a mudra. I'm playing with Shuni Mudra today, but you could have an active mudra, Gyun Mudra if you like. Unbind. Let's find our way from here into Sukhasana. So start to relax onto your right bum cheek. Just slip the block out if it was there. Crossing the left leg in front of the right and taking a moment just to wiggle the weight bum cheek to bum cheek and make sure that the weight is coming down equally through the pelvis. Place both hands on the floor in front of you. Roll onto the knees. Maybe coming into a little modified kneel. And then drop down onto your bum. Start to roll up and down, but pausing when you're coming onto the knees, and you can even take a modified little camel here, thinking back bend. So you're replicating that back bend that we played with in the beginning of the class. Give yourself maybe 4 or 5 oscillations sitting into Sukhasana, then rolling onto the knees and coming into your modified camel. End in your modified camel and see if you can find your way from here into crow pose, Bakasana. Place your hands on the floor, unravel the feet behind you, come onto the toes, heels of the feet off the floor, heels touching along the midline. Place your hands on the floor about shoulder width apart. Give a softness to the elbows and then squeeze your knees in towards your triceps. See if you can lean the weight into the tricep. Maybe disconnecting one foot off the mat and then the other as you bring the big toes together behind you with the weight of your knees resting on your tricep. If lift off is not working for you today, maybe starting to just play with the rock into the tricep, pausing here on the big toes, and then grounding again onto the toes when you need to. Play where you're comfortable, so make your games, but always be in control of your movement. If you catch a wobble, just own it and move on. Find your way into a floating butterfly line from here, grounding through the toes, heels off the mat and touching along the center line, hands resting on your knees. Bring your hands together in front of your heart in Prayer Mudra, staying in control. Take a big breath in and think steeple frame through the arms. Come back down along the center line. Inhale, think steeple. Exhale, come down the center line. We're going to find our way from here into a forward fold, preferably hands to floor. Place both hands on the mat. Square up through the feet. Anchor in your legs, and if you can, come to a big toe lock, grabbing hold of the big toe in each foot, pulling the big toe up while making your crown heavier to the floor and trying to find even weight on both feet. Try to iron out those tight kinks behind the knees. Then place your fingertips on the mat. You can pull the weight forward slightly into the fingertips on the right side and see if you can maintain the big toe lock on the left. See if you can hover that leg out to the side of the room. Bring it back to center. Maybe try another one, bringing the hand closer towards your body line. Bring it back to the floor. Soften your knees. And then straighten the legs again while sweeping the arms behind you. Trying to fist the two hands behind your back. Thinking nose to knee, crown to floor. Then peel up halfway into a tabletop line. Step your left leg forward, coming into a pyramid line. Readjust yourself into table, all 10 toes looking to the front of your mat. Both legs as long and extended as you can manage. We're going to keep that fisted line behind the back and bring it into a standing back bend. Step your legs back into parallel. Start to drop your fist heavy between the two bum cheeks and hold your back bend. Then ease your way back into a tall standing frame. Relax the arms alongside the body. Take a big breath in as you circle the hands overhead and come down in active prayer. Take a moment to center yourself while we run through that sequence on side 2. Relax the arms nice and heavy at your side and find the tallest mountain that you can. Look for that little 12 o'clock tilt through the pelvis. Find your way into a supported back bend and pause. Inhale to stand up nice and tall and relax the arms at your side. Find your way back into your supported back bend. Breathe as generously as you can into the front of your ribs. Stand up nice and tall and relax the arms at your side. One more time before we start to play in a table fold. Peel up nice and tall into your mountain. Take a big breath in to prepare. And on the exhale, fold forward into table and keep your fingertips long and dangly towards the floor. Then exhale to tap to the mat. Inhale for the halfway lift. We're going to do that 3 times. Every time trying to bring your fingertips and your palms ever closer to the floor. End in the fold and hold it. Maybe beginning to bend and extend dynamically through both legs in unison. Then end in the fold, legs as long as you can, and start to play with the weight in your feet, rocking forwards and backwards. Then maybe side to side. Then finding stillness somewhere between those 4 points with the weight bearing equal on all 4 quadrants of your feet. Soften the knees and step back into a 4-point kneeling frame and prepare for some cat-cows. Beginning in neutral, inhale to prepare, finding that concave back, taking your chin and bum bones to the sky. Then exhale to round out through the back as you nod your chin to your chest. Give yourself a few working rounds of a standard cat-cow, keeping the frame of your arms and your legs as still as you can and mobilizing through the spine. Then come to stillness in the longest tabletop line that you can. Bend the right knee and let's add a working knee line in. You're going to throw the right leg back as you find your cow frame. And then you're going to think knee to nose as you find your cat. And you're going to begin oscillating dynamically with that right leg floating and playing. Find your games, but stay in control. End in the tuck, find your cat. Then relax the knee to the floor, come back to the longest tabletop line that you can forge. Slide the right leg back, float it up into table, try not to pop and rotate through the hip. Let's come into some oil rigger games. Bending the elbow, maybe halfway to the floor and back. Try 4 more, trying to bring your bosom and your chin ever closer to the floor. But keep those elbows tracking into center as if you were trying to hug your ribs with them. End in the oil rigger and hold. And then trying to keep that right leg floating. Slide your left leg behind you and peel up into a little chest lift with that right foot hovering off the mat. So you can think of this as a cobra, baby cobra, with a 1-leg lift. Now tuck the toes of your left foot under, brace your core, and see if you can peel up into a 1-legged up dog. Eka Pada, Urdhva Mukha, Svanasana. Then ground both feet, come into a full up dog before you down dog it. And take your down dog for a walk, bending one knee, extending the other leg, and taking a walking-like motion on the mat. Each time trying to drop down through the heel of your extended leg and look for that awesome stretch into the entire back chain of the legs. Then settle into your down dog, stretching arms, leg, the whole line of the spine. Maybe giving a 6 o'clock tilt through the pelvis so that you can get those heels to ground. Soften the knees, step or hop up. Legs are in parallel. Ragdoll, side to side. Keeping those arms long and dangly and the knees soft and bendy. Then ragdoll your way back up into a tall standing frame. Legs are in parallel as we find chair pose. Maybe just bringing your hands to prayer. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, sit back into your chair. Legs should feel a lot warmer, so the chair should feel a lot more comfortable. Look for a nice deep seat. Work your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. Then inhale to stand up nice and tall and find a narrow chair this time, bringing the legs flush along the midline. Exhale to take your seat. Knees, inner thighs, feet squeezing towards the midline. Stand up nice and tall. And let's try an eagle chair this time, giving a softness to your knees. So think of just beginning to want to sit. Take a sit. And then cross the right leg over the leg, maybe big toe on the floor. Or maybe you can tuck behind the calf and then begin to settle the weight of your bum down as you take your seat. Remember this eagle bind through the legs. Then unwrap. Open up the arms into a little cactus frame. Take a nice generous breath in and then float the right arm out in front, keeping that 90 bend. Interlace the left arm into the right and find a little eagle bind through the arms. Hold your arm line steady and see if you can find your way back into the eagle bind through your legs. Soften the knees. Cross the right leg over the left, maybe keeping the big toe on the floor. Or maybe you can find purchase behind your calf and take a deeper seat. Settle into eagle, Garudasana. Keep the bind through the arms and take a big lunge step back. Wiggle walking your right heel back and dropping your pelvis nice and low to the floor. Maybe you can begin to play with an up-down motion through your bound eagle hands. Getting more work into the arms and the shoulders. Then hold steady. Relax your back knee to the floor, but keep the toes tucked under and open up into a cactus frame through the arms. Let's see if we can find our way from here into that eagle plank line. Place both of your hands on the mat. Bring the back knee off the floor, but keep a softness to the knee. Then take the front leg, cross it over the back leg, and try to replicate that little eagle line we were playing with. Take a little rotation to one side, and then the other, keeping that eagle bind through the legs as you play. Ease your way back to the mat and find your way into a pigeon line from here, unwrapping that bind through the legs, draping your right leg long and lengthened on the mat, placing a block underneath your left bum cheek if you need to, and then draw up along the inseam of both inner thighs and see if you can come to almost a little soft back bend, fisting the two hands together behind your back and dropping that fist down between your bum cheeks. Using just that draw up action along the inner thighs to hold your pigeon high. Then undo the bind through the hands and let's see if we can connect to that back leg. Bend the knee of your floating back leg. Reach with the hand on the same side of the body. And then see if you can bring your grounding hand off the floor, maybe making a mudra of your choice through the hands. Then reground your lead hand, let go of that foot. Come back into your fisted pigeon. Drawing the two palms as close together behind your back as you can. Drawing the two shoulder blades as close together as you can and making those knuckles heavy to the floor. Then undo the fisted hand behind your back and see if you can bind this time opposite hand to leg. If you've got the balance and you can draw up along those inner thighs, see if you can bring the hand off the floor and find your way into a mudra of your choice. Ease your way gently back down, taking that block out if you've got it there. Sit onto the left bum cheek, swing the right leg around and find your way into Sukhasana. Giving your moments to just check the weight on both of your bum cheeks. Let's bring it into some Sukhasana play. So game time, roll onto the knees and then onto the bottom again. Then as you start to find your balance, draw up along those inner thighs, maybe coming into a modified, almost a YV camel, pressing off your knees, curving slightly through the spine, finding balance on your knees and the tops of your feet to hold that modified camel. Ending in your modified camel, pausing here. And then think about how you can set up your crow line from here. Placing both hands on the mat in front of you, unwrapping your feet, press onto the toes, keeping the heels off the mat. Place your hands on the mat in front of you. If you're new to crow, remember to look off the front of your mat and use your nose and your chin as a counterbalance to the weight that you're leaning forward into your tricep. See if you can find control while making a little game of the movement for yourself. Maybe just rocking back and forth if the full expression is not working for you today. Find your way back into your floating butterfly line. Center yourself by bringing your hands to prayer in front of your heart and looking for control. Big breath in, think steeple. Exhale, come down along the center line, ending with your prayer hands in front of your heart. You can make this a silent meditation. Let's do that one more time. Always in control, even while you're playing, gaming, and having fun on the mat. Find your way into a forward fold, hands to floor preferably. And maybe find your way into a big toe lock by taking your middle index finger and thumb, wrapping around the big toe of each foot and tugging those big toes up while trying to ground through the rest of your feet. Keep the big toe on the right, place the left hand on the floor, and see if you can bring that right leg out to the side of the room. Bring it back, see if you can walk that hand even closer, challenging your sense of balance. Bring it back to the mat. Sweep the hands behind you, finding your way into a fisted forward fold. Think nose to knee, crown nice and heavy to the floor. Weight bearing equal in all four quadrants of your feet. Maybe peeling up into a fisted tabletop line. And then looking for an opportunity to step the right foot forward, readjusting yourself in that tabletop line as you find pyramid or Uttanasana. All 10 toes looking to the front of the mat, both legs as extended as you can manage it. And then step the legs into parallel and come into a fisted back bend, dropping your fisted hands down between your bum cheek and opening up generously through your chest. Then uninterlace your hands and drop them at your side as you restack and realign your body. Take a big breath in as you slowly circle the hands overhead, filling your lungs to maximum capacity and coming down along the center line in active breath. Find your way into a seat of your choice from here. I'm coming into a low kneeling thunderbolt with the knees together and the feet together, sitting back, bum to heel. Relax your hands to the top of your thighs. You can do palms down or palms up. We're going to come into Kapalbhati, breath of fire. We're going to work an inhalation and an exhalation. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, working a nice little pumping motion. So I want you to think of trying to use your lower belly on the exhale and almost squeezing it in, trying to tuck it underneath your rib cage as if you were trying to purge all of the stale air out of your lungs. We're going to do a little pumping in and out breath, and you're going to work almost making the exhalation a little bit longer than the inhalation and really trying to squeeze that air out. So it's a slow pump. Let's shoot for anything between 10 to 15 pumps per round. Take a little rest in between, and we'll shoot for 4 rounds today to end off our practice. When you're ready, you can begin. Give yourself a recovery breath or two. When you're ready, begin round 2. Give yourself a few recovery breaths. Begin round 3. Big breath in. Take a long exhale. And at the end of your exhale, nod your chin to your chest and retain for as long as you can. Then release the chin lock. Take a recovery inhale and begin your pumping breath pattern. Take a big inhale in. Take an equally long exhale. Nod your chin to your chest at the end of your exhale, retaining your breath for as long as you can. Then release the chin lock. Take a recovery breath and find a mudra of your choice to end off today's practice. Maybe just relaxing your hands to your lap. Maybe you'd like to overlay one palm on top of the other. Traditionally, ladies left hand on top, gents right hand on top. Maybe allowing the two tips of your thumbs to touch. And give yourself a few quiet inhalations and exhalations here, keeping your shoulders softly dropping away from your ears, looking for a comfortable neutral spine. Shoulders melting away from your ears. Give yourself a few quiet moments of contemplation to end off today's practice. Remember today's intention, which was set around the word game or gaming, even when you're playing, trying to keep it light, always staying in control, taking charge of the moment, kicking ass and taking names, even while you're making games. Let's end off today's practice with a nod of your chin to your chest. Namaste to you. Thank you so much for coming out and joining today. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time, keep it light.